Welcome to UX and Coffee. Welcome back, Rebecca.
Thanks for having me back, Jen. It's awesome to be here.
Yeah, awesome. Always a pleasure to talk to you. I feel like we're having one of those weeks. We taught a workshop yesterday together. Now we get
Mm-hmm.
to talk about UX job leveling.
Yep,
Good
that's super
times, good
awesome.
times. And I've got your favorite mug, one of my favorite mugs that I debuted last time you were on.
I need one of
That
those,
was
Jen.
fun. Yeah, I mean, I gotta say, it's delightful. The flowers are delightful, and the saying is just makes me smile every time I see it.
It's a good reminder for getting yourself out there and trying things that, you may not try otherwise, or maybe scare you, or stretch you. So
Yeah,
yeah,
totally,
it's
totally. Yeah, or if you just need a good laugh.
that too. Yeah.
Today I'm absolutely exhausted and I'm like, I need this mug today because every time I look over, it's nice. It's not just like the laugh, right? And the flowers. It's like this nice blue. It's nice and soothing. It's like this is the mug I need today.
Yeah, totally.
I also, well, there's usually a guitar hanging here. I wanted to tell you, I situated myself here for you. I had moved the guitar because it was kind of like in my way here, but see some records back here. I'm in like the music area because I
Nice.
know you like to play guitar.
Mhm.
So this is a Rebecca theme mug and music.
I love it. I feel so special. Thank you, Jen.
You're welcome.
Today I have my Cabo mug. So it's just, one of those Starbucks places mugs. But it's nice.
Yeah.
There's a gray sky out today in Seattle, and it's a nice reminder of my vacation that I had not too long ago, where there was a lot of sun and humpback whales. So
Oh, lovely,
yeah,
lovely.
yeah,
I love combo. I gotta say too, regarding those mugs, I think Starbucks did a great job. It's like on the one hand, I don't want to buy those mugs because it's like corporate and they're all this. I mean, they're all different, but they're all the same.
yeah.
But on the other hand, I love them.
Mhm.
I really do. And especially when the things on them match the things I love about a place. Sometimes it's like, whatever, I don't need this mug. The things that are on there, like I don't really care about. But
Mhm.
sometimes it matches and it's like, go Starbucks. They did a good job.
They do. They're good at that. They're good at
Yeah.
getting you.
Yep. They're gonna get you.
Yep.
So today we were going to talk about UX job leveling.
Yeah.
This is an important topic. You and I talk about it a lot, and we both managed teams. Most recently, we both managed different teams at Google, but we've also managed teams at other companies. And recently with all of there's a lot of people looking for jobs,
Mhm.
and I have um, coaching clients who apply to all jobs, like anything they can get their hands on. And I encourage them to narrow the funnel
Mhm.
to apply for things that they're interested in, right? Like don't just open up the funnel and apply to anything and just take whatever you get. But really focus on what something you're actually interested in, number one. And number two, things that you're qualified for. Because if you open up that funnel and apply to like 100 jobs and they're all over the place from like junior level to super senior level, it's like just throwing, it's like going fishing with a net. It's like maybe I'll catch something, as opposed to really identifying where you're at, what you're qualified for, and getting a job that makes sense. And then the other thing is, and I'm sure you experience this, at Google, at other big tech companies, where people are looking at that next level. They're always working to the next level. They want to get that promotion. So anyway, this comes up a lot. I'm excited to talk to you today about UX job leveling. And we can obviously take this in any direction, but I thought it might be nice to talk about expectations at various levels. So people who are looking for jobs, people who are looking for roles, like what does it even mean to be a junior researcher or a senior researcher or mid-level researcher? Like, what does that even mean? Right. And what are the behaviors? What are the categorizations, I guess, that indicate you're at the next level? Right. So anyway, these are some of the things I've been thinking about. I don't know if you have a different direction you want to go, or other things that are top of mind for you for regarding job leveling.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm in line there with you. The big thing that stands out to me when we talk about leveling is like there's so many times in my career where I've supported different researchers who are just so gung-ho at getting to that next level, and that's all they can think about. And coaching them to understand how they can get to that next level and kind of let go of feeling like you have control over getting to that next level, because sometimes you don't. Sometimes it's just a matter of getting that right project at the right time for the right audience to get that kind of impact, to show how you have leveled up, how you are skilled at that next level. So, there's a mix of things that happen for you to get promoted. It's not so straightforward. So I think talking about that today is also on my mind. But I want to circle back to what you're saying about trying to like cast a wide net to find a job. I get it when you're unemployed and you're just like, I'll take anything. But if you have the ability to be in a job and you're thinking about that next level, the next company or the next role that you want to be in, like thinking through like what level do you feel that you're at and what might be a little bit of a challenge, and not shying away from something that might be one more level up, just to stretch yourself, see what you can get. I think it's actually a pretty good exercise, but
Yeah.
yeah,
That's a really good point. Actually, that's a really good point. And research has shown that women tend to
yes,
not do that,
yep,
right? They tend to, if there's a checklist of items that in a job posting, and if there's a couple that a person doesn't meet, women tend not to apply for those jobs. Whereas historically speaking, research has shown that men do apply for those jobs. So then they end up in these roles. So that's actually a really good point. That's a good point about stretching and not just staying within, what you're comfortable with.
yeah,
The other thing about that is you don't know who your competition is. And this is the thing that I do mention to people. It's like, you might think you're not qualified for a role, and that company or that team, they need to fill that role. They need a researcher. And maybe they posted a senior level researcher, super senior level researcher, and the people that are applying have even fewer qualifications compared to you, and you don't know. So you have to take that chance and apply.
yeah,
And then the other thing about that is sometimes they have a different role. So you might apply for a job, you go in, you interview, they get to know you, and they're like, actually, we have something else for you. That's
yep,
happened to me. That's happened to me twice, where I'm
yeah,
applying for one role and then I go in, they're like, wait a minute, we want to do something else with you.
yeah,
So that's I take back what I said earlier about casting that wide net, because you're right, you don't really know what's going to come out of it. I think that downside is if you are applying for a whole bunch of jobs that you're not qualified for and you're not getting the call back, that could be really frustrating.
yeah,
That can feel really bad. It's like, I'm applying to all these jobs. And that's where, like, I think reeling it in a little bit, like, okay, you're applying to all these jobs, but how feasible are all of these jobs? When you look at your resume, when you look at what they're asking for, are you applying for, appropriate jobs? But I guess I go back and forth. There's no right answer here.
there isn't. You just got a FAFO.
You just got a FAFO. I like that, FAFO. We'll have a new mug that says FAFO. I like that. Did you just make that up?
FAFO? No, I've been saying that for the past couple of years. It's been my motto.
Oh, get out.
Yeah,
I had no idea.
yeah,
When I presented this to you last time we spoke, I had no idea.
yep, yep,
FAFO. I like it. So I don't have
FAFO.
to curse.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about leveling. Let's start at the junior level. Like, what, from your experience, Jen, when you see somebody who's brand new to the role coming in, what are some of the things that you see them doing? Like, as in the kind of research they're doing, the kind of impact they're having. I certainly have a point of view about this, but I'd love to hear
Yeah.
yours.
Junior level, we're talking about.
Yeah,
People who are just getting started in their careers.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, I think the more junior you are, the more you're still learning from other. We all learn. We all can continue learning and continue growing. But the more junior you are, the more you're in that role, and you're able to execute. So you've had some teaching, or whatever. You've had some schooling. You've hopefully had some real world experience outside of schooling, so you can come in and actually do the thing. The methods. Maybe not all the methods. Maybe your toolkit is really small at this point because you're just getting started in your career. But let's say in classic UX research, you know how to conduct interviews, you know how to do usability testing, but you're super junior. So maybe you're still getting coached. You've learned how to do it, but now you're doing it in the real world, in a fast-paced environment, and you're still getting coached by those who are more senior to you.
yeah,
The other thing that I think about with junior level is, compared to more senior level, and this is like where you start to move from junior to senior, is junior level are more, I hate to put it this way, but they're more like order takers. It's like
Mhm.
it's executors. They're more executors as
Yeah.
opposed to the thought leaders. Maybe they're not even planning the research. Maybe they're just starting to learn how to plan research. Maybe they're just starting to learn what kinds of questions to ask stakeholders. But they're really junior level, early career is really execution. It's
Mhm.
learning how to use the methods, get better at the methods. Like that's your role as a junior researcher. Just churn it out, get better, get better, get better, get feedback, shadow others who are more senior, learn new methods on the job. How about you? What do you think?
Yeah, same. And then also, like, you're not planning your own roadmap. You're not sitting down and saying over the next, 12 weeks to, like, 6 months, this is the kind of understanding we need to gain for the company, for my product team, et cetera. You're not doing that road mapping on your own. You're usually doing it with your manager or another senior user researcher. So you are kind of an order taker in that way, and your work tends to be more tactical, more reactive, where you are like engaging with the team, seeing like what kind of usability testing they need, what kind of understanding they need to gain. But you're less in the space of thinking more broadly, and you're very focused on your product specifically. And I see as, a
Yeah.
researcher starts coming up from that and gaining more experience and leveling up is because they're starting to look a little bit further out of what they're responsible for. Let's say you are a LinkedIn researcher, you just got started. Maybe your area of focus is in messaging. Maybe you're the researcher for LinkedIn messaging, and that's the thing that you're responsible for. So you're doing research there. As you start to level up and gain more experience and think more strategically, which really this is the difference, is your strategic thinking grows the more experienced you become. You start thinking about like, what other research can I do that helps impact all of LinkedIn? So
Mm-hmm.
you're like looking to and have a bigger ripple effect where more people can get value from the work that you're doing. So that's really kind of the difference I see in leveling and expertise with researchers is the way that they're perceiving their work and how it relates to the rest of, either that organization or the company.
Yeah.
Um, so that's what I'm always looking for. And when I get a researcher that comes to me who's junior, just started, and they are gung ho about getting to like just that next level, it's sort of like, okay, well, let's sit down and write out a roadmap. Show me what you want to do and how you want to impact, business over the next, 12 weeks to 6 months, whatever you can do. There's some companies where you can only roadmap for like 6 weeks. But
Yeah.
like, and also there's some companies that you can go out quite a ways. And then I want to see, how well they're able to do that. Are they doing the right steps? Are they working with their product team? Are they starting to understand other researchers they should be pulling into their work to learn like what it is that they need to do in order to help them? Because your
Yeah.
best research helps more than just your tiny little space, you have a wide
Absolutely.
with it. So I want to see that networking happening. I want to see strategic thinking from that researcher, getting a plan together and the ability to execute it and go beyond just usability testing, but also thinking about, interviews, diary studies, contextual inquiries, things that more senior researchers tend to do more often.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a really good point. And strategy, I feel like is it's a buzzword for sure, but I don't think everybody quite knows what that is. So when
Yeah.
you're talking about strategy and junior level researchers moving in, moving up and they have more strategic thinking. Say a bit more about that. What do you mean by that?
When I think of strategy, I think of what is it we should know to be successful? Taking the business goals, like most companies will set some sort of goals for the year or for the half or whatever it is. If you're taking a look at those goals and thinking, how can I help inform the direction that my business or my team or my org is going in? Like that's strategic thinking. You're thinking more
Hmm.
about like when I think about research, like we're the ones who are the would it be the navigators on a boat? I'm sure there's a certain term for that role, but like the people that sit down and like map out the journey for the boat before they even leave the dock. That's us, right? And if
Right.
you're thinking like, hey, the boat wants to get from Seattle up to, let's say, Anchorage. But actually I did some research and found we shouldn't be going to Anchorage. We actually need to go to Juneau. you know,
Right. Right.
that's strategic thinking. And that ability to go and communicate that back with your team to say, like, actually, here's our opportunity. It's a quick win. It's a lot closer to us than what Anchorage would be. For those of you who don't know, Juneau's not that far from Seattle. Anchorage is a lot further from Seattle. That would be a great way to help the team develop a clear strategy toward meeting their own goals. So that's you being a strategic thinker, and being involved with the product team at that level is like next level for your career.
Yeah. The other thing related is when our stakeholders come to us with their research requests, being able to not only do what they're asking you to do, but now, and you alluded to this, it's like, it's a bigger thing. It's how does this research impact the company? Is there other research that's already been done that is similar to this research? Let me dig around a little bit, as opposed to just what I call order taking. It's not like, we need this research. Okay, I'm going to go and execute it and report back. Okay, we need this research, go execute, report back. It's a higher level of thinking, of connecting the dots.
Yeah.
And then, and this might even be like the next level, or, I guess we're thinking about a span or a spectrum. Then having the confidence to say to your stakeholders, here's what I think we need to do. Right. Because that's the thing too. Junior level researchers are more comfortable taking orders and executing and conducting kick-ass research, right? They're very comfortable doing that. But there's something else, a little more confidence that comes with being able to say to your stakeholders, I don't actually think that's what we should be doing right now. I think we should be doing this, and doing it in a way where it's not us versus them. It's not, they're on one side of the fence, I'm on the other side of the fence, and I'm putting my foot down. I'm explaining what research is. Like, no. It's doing it in a way that brings everybody along, and you're educating, but in a way that, is not condescending or causing any sort of divide. It's like they hear you, they understand, and they're like, oh, that's why you're here. That's why we need you. Because I'm a PM and I don't actually know what methods we need. I just heard about this method, right? Like they come along the journey with you and don't feel that divide.
Yeah. And you're a thought partner to the team. You're not just on the side cart that people throw work over to, but you're actually in those conversations and you're helping to drive decisions.
Yeah.
Because you're the representative for the user. You're the voice of that customer. And like nobody else is as close to you, to that person as you are. And so you need to represent them in that room. And you can have I think what's wonderful about being a researcher is that you can have opinions based on facts.
Right. Data-driven opinions, but it's data-driven. Yeah.
And of course, as you get more senior, those, understanding your research and the things that have been, that you've learned about the user, that helps inform your instinct as well. And so like not holding back from that is also important, because you want to make sure the team is understanding what you understand.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's the power. It's like, we literally have so much data. We talk to people all the time, and I use that loosely. That could be via survey. That could be via remote unmoderated. It could be via, actually talking to people and conducting interviews, but we are talking to users all the time. Our PMs probably are not. Our designers probably not. Our engineers probably not. They love to attend and observe and be a part of those conversations, but it's important to remember that, because I think researchers tend to forget that. Like what we're doing is so powerful. We are the ones that are talking to users every single day.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So like making those data-informed, their data-informed decisions, data-informed opinions, data-informed recommendations about where to go with research, where to go with the roadmap. If your stakeholders come to you and they have a ton of things and you're putting it all in your spreadsheet, and now you need to prioritize, like you've got existing data to bring back to them. Instead, this is another thing with roadmap planning, right? Junior level researchers are like, all the stakeholders want all this research done, and they'll try to figure out how to do it all, right? But like the more senior you get, you push back. And again, in a way that's not us versus them, but you push back and literally talk about what is feasible, what we can actually do, what, this is how many people we have. This is like literally what we're able to do. Also, as you get more senior, being able to negotiate, and of course it depends on budgets and things like that, but being able to negotiate getting external support, right? So like you go to your PMs and say, there's no way we can tackle all this. I'm a researcher of one. I'm your only researcher. There's no way on earth I can do all this. But if you help me find some money, I can bring in an external vendor who can help me, and then that's, again, it's impact, and it's bringing them along with you. They see the value. They want to get all this research done. So then they help you find money. Those are things also that come along with being more senior.
Yeah.
It's again, moving away from just execution and moving into strategy, whether it's research strategy, strategy on how you're going to get it all done, right? Like bringing in external vendors or investing in a remote tool, a remote unmoderated tool or something like that. Like, I don't know, I tend to say confidence. Like, I don't know if you perceive it this way as well. It's like, to me, it's like, it's not only confidence. You've learned, right? You've gotten to a step in what your knowledge, you know more.
Yeah.
But also another thing senior level people tend to, because not everybody, but they know they don't know everything, right? There's like this middle layer. There's like the junior level folks who know they don't know everything. Then there's the senior level folks who know they don't know everything. And then we have this like middle group who think they know everything, you know? And
It's like
that's
a
an
sweet spot
interesting,
where you're like, aha, I get it. And then you do something else and you're like, oh, wait, no, I don't, and then suddenly
right?
you see other opportunities you can be digging into. Yeah.
Totally. It's like the more you learn, the more you realize how much you don't know.
The more you look, the more you see. Yep. So I think that goes for a lot of things in life, but there's
Yeah.
also these other parts. So it's not just skill, it's not just confidence, it's not just ability to strategically think and be a thought partner with your team, but it's also like the kind of other impact you can have with mentoring others, like mentoring
Yes.
researchers, and also
Yes.
developing programs, research programs that help support like the big, amount of work that we have to do. Like when you brought up vendors, that made me think about I've seen like more senior researchers or people who were like, let's say, their title was senior researcher, right? Senior UX researcher. Well, they developed some sort of research program where they make it so that we can do rapid testing, we can do rapid research, or we have a vendor that comes on and helps pick up a whole program, or they've like identified some gap where we need to build a panel of users who we can get feedback from consistently on this new product that's not quite yet launched. Like those sort of projects help get you to that next level too, because you're thinking
Yeah.
not just about research, but you're thinking about research as a practice
Scaling.
and
It's
scaling.
scaling. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
also the mentoring piece is really important because that shows like that you have some expertise and you're sharing and you're helping other people grow, which is
Yeah.
another way to get to that next level.
Yeah.
So I think those things are also important to keep in mind when you're thinking about like, how do I get to that next level? And then of course, like once you get to senior UX researcher, principal, like that next level up, like how do you get to staff researcher? I think those
Mm.
really are dependent upon uh, the business's capacity to support you. So we were talking about this a little bit earlier in the call where sometimes it just has to be, the right place, the right time. If you're in a team that doesn't need a staff researcher and you're a
Mm.
principal researcher and you really want to get there, you might need to find another team that has the scope
Mhm.
that you take on, right? So
Yeah.
there's also, business needs for those kind of roles. And so sometimes that will keep you from getting promoted. And
Yeah.
I one last thing is my
Yeah.
last at Google on the team that we had there, we were in a place of like, we were tightening our belt buckles and trying to be frugal. So like it was a little bit more about budget too, that could keep you
Mhm.
from getting that next level up in your career. So it's kind of, it's this time of year or this time in our industry where things are a little bit shakier, a little bit more uncertain. And you don't, it's sometimes not just about your level, your skill level, or your ability to think strategically. It could also be the business that plays a part in whether or not you're getting that promotion.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I was rudely kind of interrupting there. I was going to
No, it's good.
say management is the same. So let's
Yep.
say you want to be a manager. There just might not be a manager role on your team, and there might not be for a while.
Right.
And actually, thinking back to our time at Google, where there was not just at Google, at a lot of companies recently, there's been a flattening, right? So
Yep.
there were a whole bunch of middle managers, and these companies decided to flatten that and get rid of a bunch of middle management. So, like, if it's your goal, your desire to become a manager, there might not be that opportunity at this point in time on your team in your company. So then
Yeah.
you get to decide, do you want to wait and keep on kicking ass doing what you're doing and wait until there's an opportunity, or do you want to look around, and then that's really just a personal thing. Like, how long do you want to wait? If you love your team, if you love what you're working on, you may want to wait, because you don't know, maybe the team's not going to grow, but you don't know if an existing manager is planning on exiting and now all of a sudden there will be an opportunity, right? So like, if you love what you're working on, if you love the people you're working with, you may want to stick it out, and not be in such a hurry to get promoted or to switch roles from IC to manager.
Yeah. And there's also a question you need to ask yourself about why you want to be promoted, why you want to become a manager. Like that's also part of the conversation that I've had with my team is, I've so many of I think in the past couple of teams I've supported, there have been so many of my researchers who are like, I want to be a manager. It's like, okay, why? Why do you want to
Yeah.
be a manager? I mean, a lot of times being a manager just means now you have more paperwork, you
Yeah.
know, now you have more meetings. Like you don't get a lot of time on your own to sit down and think through things. You are in meetings all day long.
Yeah.
And then you have to participate in performance reviews. And those are really, really time consuming and sometimes a real pain in the ass, honestly. And
Yeah.
it's like on those, whenever that happens, I'm like, oh, why can't I be like an individual contributor? I don't want to be sitting in
Yeah.
like 4-hour calibration meeting with the other research managers talking about people. It's a lot of work. Uh,
Yeah.
but I think, if you have this kind of desire to mentor and grow people, and, you're excited to have that kind of the head of a team to help, amplify the work your team is doing and drive greater impact out and up, then yeah, a manager is a great role for you. But if you're just excited about, coaching and mentoring, you can do that as an individual contributor. You don't have to be a manager to do that. So
Yeah.
that's also another thing to think about.
Yeah. I think in many orgs in companies, people think that management is like a promotion. It's a step up.
Yeah.
And it's not. I mean, it could be, right? But it's often not. Like you can be at the same level, you can be an individual contributor, you can be a manager. They're just different roles. You're
Yeah.
making the same, your actual level, is the same, but it's just a different role. You're doing different things. You're either doing the research and the strategy and everything that we've been talking about, or you're developing people, managing people, doing performance evaluations, having difficult conversations about performance, right? So then it's really a role thing. So I encourage folks who think about management as a promotion to, back to what you were saying, Rebecca, it's like, why do you want to be a manager? And, is that a job thing? Or you can mentor people all the time. You could teach people, you could coach people, it's like, that's the thing that you want to do, but it's not necessarily a promotion.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think both at Google and Meta, you get the exact same pay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're not getting paid extra.
And
Yeah.
arguably IC role is the better deal there because you
Yeah,
get to
because
do
you have
your
way more
work.
personal time. And you're not
Totally.
responsible for like when, somebody on your team messes up or doesn't quite do what they're supposed to be doing, and so when that happens, you're talking about like having those difficult conversations, like those happen, often enough, and they're challenging because you're
Yeah.
talking to people, you're talking to people, humans that have lives and feelings, and suddenly you have to come and tell them they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing. It's like those are hard conversations to have, and it's a different kind of skill that you need to develop. If you don't already have it, most of us don't. We have to get coaching to,
Yeah.
have these in an effective way that inspires rather than crushes people. you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're not getting paid extra for that stuff. I
Yeah.
think we should be, honestly, but
I know.
that's just how it is. So
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah. I've gone back and forth in my career. I've been an IC, I've been a manager. I like both. So for me, it's been, I don't know if fun is the word. I have enjoyed though going, doing
Yeah,
both. I don't
yeah,
want to say going back and forth because I've just done both. It depends on what is available. It depends on what the needs of the team are. My time at Google, for example, I went from individual contributor to manager, back to individual contributor. And it was like, I was open to either, but it was my manager at the time. Those were two different managers who had different ideas of team structure,
yeah.
but they came to me and said, what do you think about this? And I was like, oh, I like both. Like, sure, put me
Yeah.
where you need me. Put me in, coach. Where do you need me?
Let's do
You
it.
know?
Yeah. When I
Yeah.
started at Meta back in 2017, I had been coming off of like a couple of different companies where I was the manager or the director of research. And when I started at Meta here in Seattle, my recruiter convinced me to take an IC role, so individual contributor. I think it's because there weren't that many manager roles in the Seattle area at the time. I think that was her sneaky way of getting me to do it.
Mhm.
But she gave it to me as a research project. Like those who come up from being an IC, an individual contributor, to management within our company are more successful because they understand, what it's like to be a researcher and to be
Mhm.
doing that research and use the tools. I'm so glad I did because I took that really seriously. I did do it was like an immersion research. And I got to learn how to do research at Facebook at the time. Meta. And so it made me a more effective manager. Like I
Yeah.
got it. I understood what the kind of things you had to go through in order to do that work. And I also did some of my best work ever. Like it was amazing. I have really great projects that I worked on during that time, and I'm really proud of them. But I'm also I love supporting a team. I love leading. So I had to, a year in, I ended up becoming a manager, which, made me happy. But that didn't mean that I had to stop doing research. I still do research on occasion. But it's sort of like you can, at least at these bigger companies, it's not a big deal to go from being an IC to a manager and then
Yeah.
going from manager back to IC. Like it's fine. I don't know
Yeah.
what it's like at other smaller companies. I'd be curious to hear from other people about that. So
Yeah. And you're heading back to Meta soon. Is that an IC role or manager role?
it's a manager role. I'm heading back. I start June 3rd. I'm very excited. I keep having dreams about it.
Nice.
I'm going back to my old stuff. It's really great. And yeah, it'll be a manager role. I'll be supporting a team within infra, which is infrastructure. So our users are the engineers, which I think
Mm,
is an exciting opportunity to have a much larger impact for Meta as a whole, because
mhm,
the stuff that my team will work on or does work on are the tools that are being used across all the teams at Meta. So it's a really
mm.
exciting role. And having, going and working with engineers will be fun because I used to be a front end web developer before I was a researcher. So it'll be
Oh,
cool to
neat.
revisit that space again. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, awesome. You'll have to come back and tell us all about it.
I'm sure it'll be boring for most people, but I'll be like nerding out about it.
I'll nerd out with you.
Great.
Well, as always, our time just flies by. If people want to get in touch with you, how can they find you?
Well, through LinkedIn. And you can also email me, rebecca.destello@gmail.com. Happy to talk more about
Awesome.
this. So yeah.
Thank you, Rebecca. And y'all can find me at uxrcoach.com or also on LinkedIn, Jennifer Romano. And thank you so much. Thank you, Rebecca, for being here. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today. And we'll see you soon.
All right. See you. Thanks so much for having
Yeah.
me.